Welcome back to the channel, everyone. So today I thought I would take a look at that question of how many megapixels do I need in my camera? And it just so happens I've got 4 cameras here in my studio, each one with a different megapixel count. I've got the Sony A9 III with 25 megapixels, Canon R5 with 45, the Sony A7 R5 with 60 megapixels, and the Fuji GFX2 with 102 megapixels. And I know we can all go online and look at the, I guess the graphs or the visual representation of megapixels when it comes to, like, you know, the 60 and 45 where they draw different rectangles together and stack them. But what I want to do is get a more, I guess, visual representation by taking all 4 of these cameras, as ridiculous as it sounds, on location and taking the same picture and then bringing them into Photoshop, stacking them on top of each other, and actually seeing how it correlates in Photoshop, you know, and on the basis of these different size sensors. This is not a test to compare sensors and pixel peep and all that. I just want to see the different sizes and how they correlate to each other. When I go on a job, usually I know where the end result, where these images are going to go, and so I kind of have an idea of what the resolution needs to be. And I've used this Canon R5 over the past couple years, and it's been my workhorse, and for most of what I do, it is plenty in this day and age. I do usually have I've had a Fuji or a phase 1 camera here that I will take on jobs where I know that we're going to need some higher output or higher resolution files outputted for certain use cases. Like I've got a banner here, and so when I'm doing a job that I know they're going to output, you know, large files to create these banners that go on the wall of an arena, and where people are going to be able to walk right up to those banners. I, for one, want them to look as good as possible and not like the old days where you were blowing up little small scan files to these banner size images, and you can see all the noise and artifacts and everything in these files, and they would just look terrible. So when I take a camera like this on a job, I know that I'll be able to output files that will render those types of installations at a high enough resolution where you can really go walk right up on it and they look fantastic. With all that being said, let's jump onto the computer here so we can take care of at least my curiosity of seeing how these files relate or correlate to one another as far as the size that they come out at different megapixel counts. All right, so I went down to Savannah to this historic site where they've got all these oak trees lining this road. It's a really beautiful area just to kind of get out in the outdoors and do some landscape type work, which is different than what I'm used to doing here in the studio. So it was an excuse to do that, and it's pretty ridiculous to carry 4 different cameras on a location like this. But what I did is I set the tripod up, switched out the cameras, trying to get as close as possible. You'll see that they line up pretty well. The sun was moving in and out of clouds, so you'll see there's some differences in the actual images, and like I said, that just couldn't really be helped on the weather that we had that day. Let me also add that I'm not sponsored by any of these camera companies, unfortunately. So we're not comparing and contrasting different files. This is strictly for the size. And then we're going to jump into looking at some software from Topaz. And I'm not sponsored with them whatsoever either, but we will take a look at that here in a minute. All right, so the first file here, this is out of the GFX, the largest file, 102 megapixels. Let's go up here and look at the actual image size coming out of this camera. And you can see the pixel count. It's 11,648 by 8,736, 102 megapixels if you were to do the math here. And then I've got it here converted to inches, so if you were to print this thing out, it's over 3 feet wide, pretty much just coming straight out of the camera. It's super large file. So let's jump over here to the next file I've got, and this is the A9 3. And what I'm doing is I'm looking at all these at 25% here in Photoshop. You can see there, so you can kind of get a representation straight off the bat. But what I'm going to do is we'll drag this in and drop it on top of the GFX file. Let me zoom out so we can see it all. So you can see right there the difference. 25 megapixels versus 102 megapixels. Let's go back to the A9. We'll get the image stats here. 6,000 by 4,000 pixels, and compared to inches, that's 20 by 13 roughly. So considerably smaller than what's coming out of the GFX. The upside to that is these file sizes are smaller. You're not going to use much storage and that type of thing, where these GFX files are tremendous or tremendously large. All right, our next file is coming out of the Canon R5. This is a 45 megapixel file. Let's look at the image size here. Pixel count is 8192 by 5464. Roughly 27 by 18 if you convert that to inches coming out of the camera. And just having used this for the last several years, I really like this 45 megapixel area. It's kind of a sweet spot, I feel like, for most of what I'm doing. And let's see how that relates to the 25 and the 100 megapixels. And so you can see right there, let me get rid of the Sony one. So this is 45 and then this is 102 behind it. So you can get a visual sense of what that is. And I'm going to put the A9 III back here, so 25 there. All right, so then our fourth camera here is the A7R5, and this is at 60 megapixels. And let's look at the image size right out here, and it's 9,500 by 6,333 or 36 pixels, 31 by 21 roughly, compared to inches. So it's a pretty good size file. 60 megapixels is generally probably more than I would need on a typical shoot for this day and age use case. And if we stack that in here, you can kind of see the 60 megapixels here versus the 102. And this is what I wanted to do. I just kind of wanted to, see what this actually looked like. If I took them like I did on location, took an image, very similar image, as close as I could get, actually just switching them off a tripod and laying them on top of each other. To me, this just visually, this kind of just gives me what I was wanting to see. And you can really see how small like the 25 megapixel file is compared to the 100 megapixel. And then that got me to thinking, so what if I was on a job with the A9 III and knowing that the output was 25 megapixels, and then my client coming to me and saying that, hey, we love these files so much, or these images so much, we want to blow some of them up and put them on, the wall. And then how I would go about handling that, knowing that I'm using a camera with a smaller megapixels count size. So that's where some upscale software is going to come into play. And so what I did, once I kind of laid this out, and then I asked myself the same question, and I've used Topaz software in the past, and they've got this software suite out now, the Photo AI, which includes an upscaler. And that's what I ended up doing. So let me go back over here to this A9 image. And what we do is we're going to open this up in the Topaz. We go down here to Automate, Topaz Photo AI. And when you open this software, it'll automatically kind of run an analyze portion of the software, so it's got an idea, I guess, of what the file is about, and this being a landscape image, and it'll automatically kind of add an enhancement. But we're going to take that off, and we're going to go straight in here to upscale. Let's look at the upscale window, so we can talk about this real quick. So it gives you the options here in upscale. You can go in and upscale it very, a small amount at 0.2, or you can take it up to 6 times, up to 32,000 pixels, which is huge. So, I mean, just that in itself is pretty cool. And what we're going to do is take the file here and just do it at a ×2, which should get us right into the realm of the GFX here. And my question is, what is this file going to look like? Back in the day, I remember where you would use a upscale software and it would incrementally enlarge the image and then apply sharpening and that type of thing, and then enlarge it again and again until it got to the size that you were wanting. And the results were never all that great. And so that's where I was skeptical coming in and looking at this software, although I've heard good things. Right here to 2 times, you can see what the output would be. And since it's already analyzed the image, it's telling us, itself that it's picking this denoise amount and then this deblur amount, as well as a compression amount. And you can work these sliders and adjust them however you would like. And then as you're in the file here, let's find an area with some detail, some good detail. And what you can do is you can set the window up where you can see like a before and after. And that's what I like this one here, where I can work this slider, and then you can come in, let's zoom in to at least 200%. So you can kind of see what's going on with the software. And this on the right hand side is the after, and this is the before. So you can see it's bringing in some detail. It's really kind of creating pixels using this AI technology that's built into the software. And I would venture to say that the resulting image is looking sharper than the previous, but not in a bad way. And so what I did, we're going to hop out of here because it does take a couple minutes to upsize one of these full size images. And so what I did is went ahead and upsized the A9 III image. Like you see, it's right here. And once again at 25%. Now this image will not fit into the viewing window, and we can zoom in here and see the details, which are pretty amazing. This is at 66%. Let's go into 100%. And this, to me, this image looks fantastic. So why don't we drag this layer over to our master file that we had going at the beginning here with all these different sizes. And so let's pop this one in, and then we'll go down. Let me turn this off. So you can see the original file here, and this is the upsized here. But then what I really wanted to see was, how this upsized file out of this A9 III at 25 megapixels would match up to the Fuji. So we're going to turn that off and these other ones off. So now let's zoom in. And I'm hoping this shows up on as well as possible on YouTube. And so we're looking at the A9 III image right here. And this is the Fuji image. Let's go to 100. So this is 100% here. And this is the Fuji image. And now this is the A9 III image. And obviously, like I said earlier, the sun was moving through the clouds. So there's going to be a little difference with the setting, but it's pretty amazing. I mean, I would give the edge to the Fuji, but if we weren't stacking these and looking at them like this, I don't think you'd be able to really tell much of a difference. And it gives me confidence that if I was on a shoot with this camera, that I could deliver higher resolution images than what initially came out of this camera. So once I saw this, I wanted to take a look at a sports portrait that would more correlate to like what I showed earlier with that banner. And this is one of the images I've taken in the last couple of years this is one of the images out of the Canon R5. So and this would kind of be your sports portrait that maybe they would want to blow up as a graphic. So this is straight out of the camera, and then let's pull out that software again, go under Automate, Topaz Photo AI. And so this is going to be a little different file, and this is why I want to do this too. The other one was a landscape. This one is a portrait, so we've got a face in here that we can look at. This is at 100%. We're going to go, let me turn this sharpening off, we're going to go to upscale. You can see also in this software you've got a lot of other different options that you can just enhance an image without upscaling it. So it's like I said, this is not sponsored. I'm really impressed with this software though, if I'm going to be completely honest. I've used Topaz in the past and they create some really good stuff, and this software has really amazed me just in the last couple of days of playing with it. Once again, we can use the slider to see a before on this side. So this is the original image, and then this is the side here that's going to show the upscale version. And with the little bit of sharpening and stuff, once again, it's kind of diagnosed the image here and pulled out some values for de-blur and denoise. You can spend as much time as you want to in here sliding these around and checking out, you know, how they relate and change what the outcome is going to be. But I like looking at the eyelashes here and eyebrows and just kind of seeing the detail that it's pulling out, and it looks like the output is going to be subtly sharper than the original. And so let's take a look. Once again, I've already done this. And here is our output file. Let's go into 100%. And the cool thing about this, so I used just the background file, ran it through the software. This is straight out of camera, no retouching whatsoever prior to, and it'll output your background layer at the enlarged size, and then add this layer here, which shows the enhancements that it's put in to the enlargement. And right here you can kind of see where it's added the sharpening. Let me come in even tighter. But there's just no noise. There are no artifacts. There's really nothing that would lead you to believe that this image has been upsized the way it is. And so, coming from this R5, let's look at this image size. And this is a ×2 again. So we're looking at now 54 inches tall by 36 inches wide. And the pixel count's right up here, 10,928 by 16,384. Massive file. We're over 2 gigabytes here without any kind of corrections whatsoever. And you just see the detail in here. And we can even go down to like the stitching on the uniform. So I've just found this incredible, and it's definitely going to make its way into my workflow. So as I mentioned like before, let me turn this off. We'll get back to talking about the camera. So as I mentioned before, I will have use cases where I'll go on to a photo shoot with 2 cameras based off of what the output needs to be. And what this software is showing me that I can potentially stick with, say, like the Canon R5 at 45 megapixels. We can mark files that might be, have a need to be blown up as a banner or a wall graphic, that type of thing. And I can run them through this software and produce files bigger than what are coming out of this Fuji camera. And I don't have to switch cameras during my photo shoot. So this little experiment, this little curiosity I had kind of led me down this other avenue, and now I'm rethinking kind of my workflow for these types of shoots where I would typically take 2 cameras. So anyway, I wanted to share this. I thought this was really fun to do, and covered the curiosity I had to see this on the computer when it comes to like these different sizes of sensors based on the megapixel count. So I'm hoping y'all find it interesting as well. And if you did find this video worthy, hit that thumbs up for me. And if you want to see more content just like this in the future, hit that subscribe button down there and the little bell so YouTube will let you know when I'm here. In the meantime, you can find me over on Instagram at quantzphoto, as well as at ProLightMods on Instagram. Feel free to start the discussion down in the comments. I'd really kind of be interested to see what y'all think about all this. And between now and the next video, y'all stay safe and healthy out there, and I will see y'all again soon.